The 797 is back on the bench again. I did an experiment yesterday and decided to see if I could teach myself how to sharpen this chain. It's a square filed chisel bit chain, and the saw is set for years, and it had not only had rust on it, but it also banged around from shipping and storage and everything, and was probably put away dull to begin with. Who sharpens a chain when they're done using it? So anyway, I tried it out a few days ago, and I could tell that it cut all right. It cut through the log, but it was kind of slow. The engine runs good. The saw is tuned up properly. It runs great, but it still wasn't cutting anywhere close to what its potential was. So, and I knew I just wanted to run through some wood to get the teeth polished up a little bit. It makes it a little easier to sharpen if they're clean. So anyway, we did that, and I sharpened it up yesterday, and I went over it with a file, and kind of it progressed until I had it pretty well figured out what to do, and I took it out last night, and it cut great. The first cut I made with it it cut great. I kind of wasn't too impressed. I mean, I could tell the saw was cutting good, but it wasn't quite what it should be. The chain was cutting good, but the saw wasn't quite what it should be. And so when I looked at it, I noticed that I'd left the decompression lever up. I didn't close it, so it was running good, but it was no way developing full power because the decompression lever was still open. The valve was still open. So closed that up and made another cut on it, and that made a big difference. But I could still notice that it was a little bit draggy. Into the shop to look at it, and this chain is plugged full of sawdust. So that's what we're doing today. Even though the bar, not the chain, the bar is plugged full of sawdust. If I take this, as I take this chain off and look at this bar, I can see there's no burr on it at all, no wear. You can see the grind marks on the bar where it's been trued up. There's no wear on it at all here any place. Even down here on the tip, it's all nice and smooth and even on the top side. I'm going to turn it over and check the bottom, but top side looks really good, but it's just plugged up full of sawdust. Okay, the bottom has a little bit of wear on one rail here. Mostly you can still see the grind marks on it though. It's just one little spot there, so I'm not going to grind that. I'm just going to take it off and clean it up, and I might polish it up a little bit because it is pitted. Hey, I'm going to try to show this. Like I said, I filed this chain, and I kind of figured out how to do it yesterday, and then I tried it last night, and it worked really good. Like I said, there's several angles to consider on this. There's the angle of the side plate, and it's cut like a chisel. It's cut square. And then there's the angle of the top plate. Again, it's cut square all the way across the face of it. And then there's this point right here. Now on a round file chisel chain, primary cutting, and I think on this one too, that's the entry point, is this point right here on the tooth. And that's a critical point. The angles on these can be critical too. If you get too much overhang on here, then there's not enough support underneath this tooth, and it'll chip off or dull real fast, just like sharpening like a fillet knife will dull faster than a butcher knife. What does happen is the more hook there is on this, the more of a relief angle there is on this, the faster this is going to feed. the more it's going to, the chain when it's sharp will pull itself right down into the wood. It's just how much power it has as to how fast it pulls itself down in. But a good sharpened chain, you don't have to try to, if you're putting the dogs in and pulling up on the handle, if you're breaking engine mounts, shock mounts and things like that, breaking the stuff on the bar there, the bar fittings, the problem is you're not sharpening your chain, you're pushing on it too hard to get it in. It should feed by itself. When it quits feeding by itself, it's time to quit and sharpen it. Too blunt of an angle on here, on this top plate, will cause it not to feed as fast, that you have to force it down in and it won't feed. The depth cutters, the rakers here, they're designed to stop the chain from feeding down so far, so fast that it stops the chain, that it bogs the chain down. So, you know, one of the things, like I said, I heard guys saying, or read guys saying that you should file these square file chains at, say, a 25-degree angle or a 20-degree angle or even less. But when you do that, that's going to change the angle on this side cutter and side piece, and it's not going to feed itself in. It's not going to cut as efficiently. So changing these angles changes a lot of things. If you change your top cutter angle, your angle perpendicular to the saw, then you're gonna may have more long. Well, you have a shorter face on this top cutter actually than you will have with it at more of an angle. So, but you wind up with a blunter angle on the side cutter, so it's not going to cut as efficiently. So the compromise there. Now this face here, the flat face of this file is what is cut, is filing this top cutter, at least the way I'm filing it, and these edge is sharp. It has a point on it, and so this point between the two edges, the two sides of the edge, it goes down into the gullet of the tooth, and then this edge of the edge, this faucet of the edge, it files the side cutter. This point, this apex of this angle between the side of the face and the edge, that angle should go right into the point. And to get that to follow that point, to follow through on the point, you need to hold the heel of the file down at an angle. And I'm looking at about a 10-degree angle or so to file up. And then if you do that, then that point, that apex of that junction of that angle on the file will follow that point and make a nice sharp corner there, so that it's undercut on both sides, both the top face and the side face of that cutter, the side plate and the top plate of that cutter. So by varying the file this way, if you come this way, you'll wind up with a deeper cut into your gullet and into your side plate and into your more overhang on your top plate, which would cause it to dull even faster. And these things dull fast enough as it is on these chisel bit chains. I've had a hell of a time in the last couple of years with the starter coming apart on my 3120. Kept pulling out, and here the knot come undone and stuff, and you get out and pull on it a couple times, and all of a sudden you got the handle in your hand. It'd take me 10 minutes to fix it or so, but it was getting annoying because it happened regularly. I even put a piece of rod in through the cord here to try to help it, to pin it across here, and that didn't even work. So the old cord was getting a little frayed down here on the end that goes in. So I've got a new cord, and I put it on. I put a nice knot in the end of it, tightened it down as tight as I could get it, and then melted the the bitter end, the free end, and actually melted it into the knot. Hopefully that'll stay now. So anyway, hopefully I can get this thing to where it'll I can get it started without pulling it out by the roots. I'd like to, now that I've got a fair comparison between it and the 797, I'd like to try it against it. I mean, it obviously outcut the 797 6 ways to Sunday on that first video that I did with it when I first tried it, but the chain was really dull on the 797, and now that I've got it sharpened up, I made a cut with it last night, and it cut really good. Now you can see, I don't know whether it'll show up or not, but this is quite a bit different file here. It's got not quite square corners on it. It's a triangular file. This one has sharp corners on it. This one I was setting up and using much like a round file, and it would file that top plate square and the side plate kind of square. Well, I don't know whether I was doing it right or not, but it cuts fine. So I'll touch this up a little bit and I'll go try them.